Hello my DGens and welcome back to me. Today I want to introduce you to a different way of thinking about Jane and team building generally, to be honest. Because I have seen a lot of people that are looking at Jane and are like, oh, she has to run with Seth. She has to run with Bernice, who isn't even out yet. She has to run with Grace. She needs Rena. She has to run with Nekomata, blah, 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 blah. And look, some of these points are fair, but let's talk about it. And so in this video, I want to address a few different points and then show you the actual team that I'm going to be running. Because theory crafting and hypotheticals are great, but it's just not representative of the real game, like the real world, the reality of our situations. Like sure, Jane, Seth, Grace may be the best team, but I don't have Grace. I don't think I'm going to have Grace for another 6 months, hypothetically. Like I have Grace, but I don't have Rena, for example. But you get the point. That said, let's get started. So first off, I need to talk about Seth. Now, the first thing is that this is not disputed. I think most people will agree with me. Seth is a fantastic pick, a fantastic character for Jane. I would say that most people are probably planning on running Seth. I'm not going to. And the reason is because I am a brokey. Aside from my little stash for my Jane, I got no Denny's to my name, okay? Even with the battle pass. And I have maxed out those V-Bucks from Holo Zero since day one. I don't even have a physical set for Jane yet. Stamina is like giga limited. In a nutshell, resources are limited. Seth is going to be a new character. Jane is absolutely going to also be a new character. Do you really have the resources to be leveling both of them? Like, I don't. And so in the long run, sure, absolutely, go wild for Seth. But in the short and medium term, the timer on Shiyu doesn't stop, right? We still have to clear content. And so the actual true best team for Jane are the ones where you can funnel all of your resources into Jane and just reuse your existing teams. Like this, my guys, this is what I'm actually gonna be running. Jane, Koleda, Grace, with the best Bangbu in the game, because he always sniffing shit up, you know what I'm saying? And the reason that it is the best is because this is what I have, right? I don't have, again, Rena. If you look at my Lucy, she freaking like completely uninvested. And obviously, if I could have it my way, I would do Jane, Seth, Lucy, or Jane, Seth, Rena, or whatever. It's just not feasible. It's not possible. And so now that I've introduced you to my best team, I want to convince you of this and talk a little bit more about the mindset around Jane. Now, a lot of people have been thrown off by this like running with another anomaly to trigger the additional ability kind of thing. But with Jane being released very, very soon, you'll probably actually have Jane in your hands by the time you see this video. You will find out pretty fast what a lot of us found out in the creator beta server, that she is very, very strong by herself in isolation. She does not need another anomaly. She does not need disorder. All she really wants is support and field time, ways to juice up her own damage. And I'm hoping, my guys, that this sounds remarkably similar to attack class units like Julian, like your Ellen. And so let's take my team, for example. Don't worry, I will go all the way down to like GIGAMAX COPIUM. And so in this team comp, Koleda is going to be stunning as she does, and Grace has two purposes. The first is that if she's using the electric set or the anomaly set, I personally prefer the anomaly set, she can be a sub DPS. She can help proc those disorders. It's kind of like an added bonus. And look, every little bit helps, right? I want the attribute anomalies, I want the disorders, and there is the other option, which is just to stick the support set onto her. And so she just straight up gives like a 15% damage on chain combo. So we've got that sub DPS slash support kind of role. The other thing is that she activates Jane's additional ability, and that's it. That's all she does. And so if you do run swing jazz with her, then I think it's going to be quite simple. Grace isn't going to have very much field time at all. You're really just looking for her to kind of do like proc that chain combo, get that 15% damage buff, and then away you go, more on field time for Jane. However, for me, I like to use the anomaly set. And so in this case, the playstyle is very much more like I parry actually with all three characters, Jane, Koleda, and Grace, because Grace can build up the electric. Jane then goes on to build up the physical anomaly without popping it, and then Koleda would get the enemy into stun ASAP. After that, I hopefully am able to trigger shock once. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. It's no biggie. But what you must get is assault twice. Massive burst in the stun window. So yeah, as you can see, this is gonna work. It looks like kind of copium, right? But I have cleared Shiyu defense within 2 minutes 30, which qualifies me for an S with this team. And so here is another one, right? Jane, Koleda, Lucy. Now, what you will notice here is that Jane is not going to have her additional ability activated. You know what? That's okay, because sometimes this is all we've got. And this one plays pretty similarly to the last one, except in this case, Lucy's field time is boom, at the very bottom. She is simply supporting, she is giving attack buff to Jane and Koleda. It's pretty much identical to your attack team. If you had Soldier 11, it would be like your Soldier, Koleda, Lucy. Just play it exactly the same way that you would play an attack unit. We're parrying with predominantly Jane and Koleda. Don't parry too much with Lucy because she's probably less invested. Jane gets the physical anomaly, we get the stuns, we get the buff with our Lucy, and then away we go. We look for the 2 assaults, and then that, my guys, is GG. But lastly, the team that I actually really want to show you is the GIGAMAX COPIUM. Jane, ANBY, and NICOLE. And I know at first glance, it looks like Giga scuffed, but I really need to show you guys that this actually works pretty freaking well. Because again, playing as if Jane is just an attack unit, it freaking works. I'm able to clear Shiyu defense 7 in 2.5 minutes again, qualifying for an S, assuming your other team isn't trash. And chances are, your ANBY and your NICOLE are actually built. Maybe you don't have ANBY, maybe you have Qingyi, even better. This is probably like the most free to play version of Jane that you can get. And I'm telling you that you can absolutely S rank Shiyu defense 7, which is like quote unquote the hardest content in the game because it's time based with this Giga Scuff team. But you know what? You didn't have to raise Seth if you don't like raising dudes. That's one reason, but the second reason is probably because you're brokey like me. I guess the only thing that's really different that separates Jane from the other 2 attackers, Julian and Ellen, is that your conditions to maximize your DPS is loaded into her assault, right? And so you do want to be using the assaults, 2 of them, try to get 2 of them in the stun window. And look, it doesn't matter if you accidentally pop an assault whilst the enemy is not stunned. Just make sure that you have it up again so that you can get 2. As long as you get 2 in those stun windows, you're completely good. Because as you can appreciate, the damage profile looks something like this. And so my DGens, all I'm trying to say with this video is that theoretical is great, but the reality is, especially right now, is that we are all extremely ultra giga resource constrained. Before you go leveling up your Seth, I just highly recommend, I highly suggest you try her out with your existing units that you already have. Because I guarantee you the performance will be there. In isolation, Jane is already really freaking good. So yeah, that's the end. I'll be running my premium COPIUM Jane Koleda Grace team. But otherwise, I'm really interested to see what you guys think about everything I've said today. Like, do you guys think I'm freaking delusional? I don't know, man. I'm really convinced of this. I think I've literally done the work to show that it's actually all good. That said, we are now at the end of the video. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.